perfect. We make it fit your price range. All of this is part of the reason we're so busy.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Tune in every Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m. for The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. Sit back and enjoy listening to Dr. Chatters discuss real stories involving struggle, inspiration, and real-life experiences with special guests and insights. Remember, the higher the pressure, the greater the lift. The Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. Every Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m. right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
It's time for Bonsall Pool and Spa's Truckload event. From September 23rd through the 27th, stop by Bonsall Pool and Spa at 3201 Pioneers Boulevard to see an actual truck full of hot tubs with special prices. You'll save up to $3,000 on all hot tubs and swim spas, as well as $1,500 on all saunas and cold plunges. Use Nebraska football's bye week well by stopping in on September 27th for refreshments and giveaways. That's Bonsall Pool and Spa at 3201 Pioneers Boulevard in Lincoln.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top-quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
Concrete Industries has immediate job openings for precast production laborers and maintenance technicians. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $21.50 per hour plus a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer or maintenance technician. Visit concreteindustries.com.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome into this Ticket Weeknights, kicking off as always on a Monday with the Husker Football Hour. I am Austin Oerman. More importantly, we have on our Aloe Fiber VIP line, Tom Shatel, lead sports columnist for the Omaha World Herald. Don't forget, Aloe Fiber is the official internet provider of the Huskers, and where they understand the importance of exceptional service with Local Heart. Let's bring him in, Tom Shatel. Tom, a happy Monday to you. We didn't have a show last week as you were otherwise occupied. Seems like you had a blast at Creighton Prep talking some ball with Coach McDermott, Nick Baugh, and the crew up there.
Yeah, it was a great evening. Dana Altman doesn't usually steal the show, stole the show, and he was in his element. Told a lot of funny
Jack
stories.
Russell, a farm.
And it was a great evening. Just I felt like I saw my career flashing before my eyes there.
Seems like it was a fantastic night. What is it about Dana that he doesn't like to steal the show? I mean, that's a really darn good basketball coach. What is it about him that he likes to hang out in the background?
Oh, that's just his personality. I mean, Wilbur, Nebraska. I mean, it was funny. He's just never one to do a lot. I mean, he's a good guy to talk to, but he doesn't give a lot of quotes and is not one to do a lot of press conferences and interviews and stuff. But it's funny. He goes back there and he's in his element around his old friends and a lot of the donors who know, and he used to hang out with and play golf with, and Bruce Rasmussen, the man who hired him, and sitting right in front of him in the front row, and he did loosen up and had a good time. And Nick Baugh did a couple of impressions of him, and so he got after him, and it was just a fun night.
Glad you enjoyed your time there. We'll do a hard pivot here because the news that sent some shockwaves throughout Nebraska and Nebraskans really was the news at the end of last week. The sudden unfortunate passing of Matt Vrzal. I read your column on your weekly escapades out there to Paisans. What are you going to remember most about Matt Vrzal?
Wow. Everything. Just him being Matt. Just his sarcasm, his knowledge. He would. I try to make it there. I don't know why Wednesday night became my night, but it was sort of my night where I had time to go do something, and so I would walk in there, and he didn't. Paisans right off of Center Street and 156. Not a big place. It used to be one of those King Kong restaurants about the size of a King Kong, and you put in a bar, and I'd sit at the bar and watch the game, have all the games on, volleyball in the fall, basketball in the winter, baseball in the summer, and he'd be greeting all the people and serving and cooking and occasionally hanging out in the bar, and he would play Keno. And his latest thing last week was this NFL pool called Survivor, where you had to pick a winner every week, but you could only pick one team once, each team once. So every week you try to figure out which one he was going to pick. And last week he was kind of leaning toward the Packers. I don't know if he went that way or not, or he didn't get to do it because I think he was gone the next day. But it was just so weird, Austin, seeing him Wednesday night. And my slice of pizza, my Diet Cokes, and went out the door on my way out and just thanked everybody, and he say, "See you, Shatel," and it was. But he was always good to talk to him, not just about the old days, but the current days. He was, still involved in offensive line coaching at Scott and, different high schools around the city, and was very much in tune with Nebraska practice and what Donovan Raiola was doing, and those guys. So he was high on them. He really thought that they were going to be pretty good, but he would always let you know, he was never shy about, offering a critical comment, or, he would, if he didn't think something was right or was good, he would let you know. And, it was just, over the years just listening to him. But he was good on the radio. Like I said, he was kind of a renaissance man. He kind of did everything, and then he did it all well. And I always joked. I said, Matt, I said, I don't remember you as a player. I remember everybody else. I don't remember you. And he was a backup, and he played a little center, a little guard, a little this, a little that, and he was. I said, I know you more as the pizza guy and the radio guy, the Husker Hangover on Sunday. We do the show where people would call in, win or lose. Last several years usually lose. And he would kind of be the fans' therapist. So, but there was one guy who, you don't see a lot of Huskers with own restaurants or bars. It's a really hard thing to do, and it's a tough business. He did it, and some of my favorite places were like Mike Ditka's in Chicago, or Mike Shannon's in St. Louis. Harry Carey's, and you'd occasionally see those guys hanging out, but a lot of athletes don't like to hang out. They just they'd want to get the money, but they wouldn't want to. They don't really want to hang around fans, and that was the opposite. He was a man of the people, and you didn't really know him as a former Husker. You just knew him as Matt Purcell.
That's the vibe I've gotten from your incredible story, from the other people that I know that knew him. I never got the chance to meet him, but I've heard nothing but glowing reports about the guy. But even his story, right, Tom? You mentioned walk on, comes to Nebraska, pretty much a backup. Those are the stories that make college football ingrained in the community. Where these guys played, they know the game, they're more than happy to talk about it, but it's not their identity. And I think that's something just so unique about college football, maybe college sports in general. But in towns like Lincoln and Omaha, where the Huskers are the main show, sure, some people might have known Matt Verzal as a former Husker, but he didn't let that define him. But he also integrated himself into the community and didn't let his playing career define him. It wasn't all he was about.
He really he understood people. He understood Nebraskans and what made them tick, what they liked, the kind of things they like to talk about and do, and it's really a tricky thing, because a lot of former Huskers, you see him in media and on podcasts now and doing things, and they can't quite escape the spotlight. They love that spotlight, but some of them have a hard time finding things to do after they're done playing, and some don't. They integrate themselves right into the society, get jobs, have families, and you see once in a while. But other guys kind of struggle with that identity a little bit, and Matt never did. And I wrote a column about him 8 or 9 years ago, and he told this incredible story about when he got out of Nebraska and out of college, and he decided he always wanted to go to Chicago, and he ended up just driving to Chicago and didn't have a job, and went to a Cub game and was hanging out afterwards, and he saw like an apartment for sale, and he asked the guy, how much is it? And the guy said, $2,000 a month or something. And Burr said, I'll give you $900 for the next 6 months, and if you find somebody who wants to pay the $2,000, I'll leave. And the guy said, sure. So he ended up getting an apartment. He stayed there. He got a job with as a runner for an investment firm. And I love the story he tells. He said, one day there was, the Cubs and the White Sox were both at home. And so he called in sick. He went to the Cub game, and then he went to the White Sox game. He said, only one problem. When I got my ticket to the White Sox game, I sat behind my boss. He shows up to his seat. His boss is in front of him, And he looked like he goes, well, we need to talk on Monday. And Matt goes, yeah, you're right, we do. He goes, in the meantime, can I buy you a beer? And he buys him a beer, and his boss talked the whole game. So I don't know if I like he probably didn't go back to work, but and then he ends up going back to Lincoln, Lazari's. He knew that, he was working at Sidetrack Lounge, Lazari's. God, what are some other bars down on O Street? But he would work at these places and do odd jobs. And he got in with Lazari's, and then that guy apparently wanted to open up a place in Omaha, and they heard about this Paisans, and the guy asked Vers if he wanted to run Paisans, and said sure, and he ended up running it, and then he ends up buying it. Then his good friend Matt Turman, the walk-on quarterback,
The Terminator.
yes, was the head coach of Scott, around the corner from Paisans. So it all just came together where he became the offensive line coach for all of these state championship Scott teams, and ran the restaurant. But it wasn't like, Alice Cafe and the show Happy Days. You probably don't remember Happy Days. It was the famous show with Richie Cunningham and all his buddies from the 50s. He used to hang out in the Al's Cafe, the malt shop. It wasn't kind of like that. It wasn't like the malt shop for Scott. He had all these. It was for everybody around the city, and you get people from all over the place would show up there for lunch. Tommy Frazier would hang out there for lunch. Damon Benning, so on and so forth. You see people from all over, and he was the attraction. And it's people went there to see him and hear from him. He would talk. He would sit down if you had a minute, sit on your table and talk football with you, or there would be baseball teams and families, and the 5-year-old kids would be sitting there, waiting for something to do, and he'd take them over. He had a wall by the ovens, and you were allowed to color on the wall. So the kids would be coloring on the wall, and he didn't have them doing that. And it was just. Then he had I don't know if you've heard about the City Cafe from Newman Grove.
Yeah.
They have a great Twitter account, great people, incredible pies, and scotcheroo bars and all that stuff that I can't eat anymore. Anyway, he would go up and on Thursday and pick up all this stuff from them and bring it back to his shop, and he would sell these things out of his shop. So you could get pizza, but then you could also get apple pie or chocolate cream pie or some kind of deal. And from this incredible place in Newman Grove, people there used to live in Omaha. They worked at a restaurant, decided they wanted to own a small town cafe, so they go there and they open this thing up. And Virgil was like their guy to. And I remember one time they had a holiday, the Thanksgiving or before Christmas. You could go on their website, the City Cafe website, and you could buy and order things on their website for your meal or the holidays. And so Vers would go up there with a big truck and bring all these pies, dozens of pies and stuff, and then he'd turn his restaurant into the pie place for a day, and he'd have you could walk in and get your order, and he'd have everything lined up with everybody's name on it. It was just, there's no place like that in Omaha. It's unbelievable. And I don't know Lincoln well enough, but I know Omaha, a lot of these mom and pop places are kind of being nudged out certainly by COVID, but also the corporate chains. And it's hard to find these, and that's what, these places have character and characters, and they hang out there. Just, there's so few bars left like that, but it's it's a corporate world now. We don't have that stuff anymore. I mean, Lincoln, we used to go to Barry's after games. The World Herald crew, Lee Barfneck and Eric Olson and I, we used to go to Barry's after the games. We would finish the writing and go right to Barry's, have a beer, and the Novak chicken sandwich, and Ken Hamilton and Riley Jane Hamilton from the Journal Star, owners of the Barry's, would sit there. We'd talk about the games and all this stuff, and their high school coaching friends would show up, and Terry Pettit would show up, and I love that kind of stuff. And, I remember going to Barry's after a spring game, and Charlie McBride was sitting there drinking beer with Christian Peter and Jason Peter after a spring game. I mean, you don't see that stuff. You can't because of cell phones and photos and all that jazz. But it's Paisanos was kind of like that, and so yes, it's sort of it's. I don't know what's going to happen to it. It'd be hard to imagine that place without him. It would just be hard. So many people went there because of him, but also because they serve really good food. So maybe he'll still go if somebody will take it over. But he'll be missed, and where am I going to go for my offensive line information now?
I'm sure someone or some place will pop up, even if it's never exactly the same. Tom, I do have to ask: did you ever run into Danny Nee down at Barry's?
Absolutely. In fact, after he would do the press conferences, and he'd go right to Barry's after a home game. Usually, if they won, but sometimes they lost. He'd be there, standing up at the end of the bar. And my friend Tom Haas, who former quarterback from Aurora, Nebraska, Husker quarterback, played the Mickey Joseph era, like 89, 90. Tom tells this great story about going to the Nebraska basketball game with his buddy, and they see Nee, and then after the game they said, okay, we're going to try to beat Danny Nee to the Berries. And they get in their car after the game, and they figure, well, he's got to do a press conference and talk to his team and all this stuff. They had a little bit of traffic. They get to Berries, and we got him. There's no way he's already here. They walked in, he's already there with the beer. Like going, how the hell did he do that? And he must have had a back way or somebody drove him, but yeah, that's as old school as it gets. Bob Devaney, some of your listeners will remember the Legion Club, about 48th and O Street, 50th and O, 48th and O, the Legion Club, famous place. They used to have press parties. I'm sorry you never got to do these, Austin, but the Friday night before a home game, Nebraska would host press parties mainly for the out-of-town writers. And they used to come in from New York Times, Chicago Tribune, Dallas, Kansas City, everywhere. The national AP guy would be here, Sports Illustrated, but mainly anybody from around the Big Eight. If they're playing Oklahoma, those guys would be up. And they'd have a little reception on Friday night about 7 o'clock. You'd go to the Legion Club, and they would have a little thing in the basement with a bar and, hors d'oeuvres, and you'd sit around and talk. Every school did this stuff. And it was, that's what you did on Friday nights. And you get relationships with all these writers and different people. But anyway, you'd walk into the Legion Club to the press party on Friday night at 7 o'clock, and Bob Devaney's the first guy you see. He's sitting at the bar wearing a red blazer, and he's talking to people, and he's got his little cocktail, and he's just minding his own business, being Bob Devaney, and nobody was really bothering him. It just kind of was part of the deal. Yeah, that's kind of Danny Nee was part of that generation. You could never do that. I remember, I once asked Dana Altman at Creighton. I said, I never see you hanging out. We used to. Well, I used to cover the Big Eight in Kansas City. I would cover K-State basketball games. And Dana was with Ron Kruger. And occasionally we would go, I see Dana in Aggieville after a game. And I always joke. I said, "Hey, now you're the head coach of Creighton. I never see you out anymore." He goes, "I can't do it." He goes, "I like hanging out with people, but there's too many people watching, and they don't want the head coach to." He was a little different than Danny Nee, who didn't care about any of that stuff. But now nobody could do anything, so it's a miracle to see anybody out, except that miracle is named Matt Rule. Matt Rule doesn't care. He's Matt Rule. He's going to have fun. If anybody goes to anybody anywhere where there's music, he's probably going to be in Omaha, Lincoln. But he loves Buck's Bar and Grill and Utan. No, I'm sorry, Venice, Nebraska. Oh, I don't want to get that wrong.
Someone will come at you. There's an angry email waiting for you already.
Venice, Nebraska, on the way to Wahoo from Omaha. But yeah, great little roadhouse type place. Great food. They have a music act every night. Honky tonk stuff. Matt Rule loves that place. So he'll walk in there and just hang out. That's old school. That doesn't exist anymore. And I love that Matt Rule does that.
8002 on our text line says, "That's all very true. I used to drive Bob Devaney home from those events." Proto Uber. That's incredible.
Well, yeah, and that's good. I mean, that's those were days when not many people did that. But yeah, he did have a driver, and he was just the accessible legend, and he was everywhere. And and Nebraskans loved that, and they left him alone. They didn't, he didn't walk in and didn't like 80 people all over him, taking photos and trying to, just walk in and Bob Devaney, and people would talk when it was their turn to talk. And yeah, I mean, it was great. So, anyway, yeah, we started with Virgil. Now we're doing this, but yeah, it's I love it. It's old school. I've talked to this old offensive lineman about going to a bar called Sweep Left, which is the sign is still on the wall at on O Street. 9th. Yeah, 9th goes south, right? Yeah. 10th comes back. Yeah. 9th goes out. It's like 9th and O on the side of the wall of this building. You can still see the two offensive linemen and the running back on the wall. That was the bar, Sweep Left. I love that bar. And there was another one. Of course, everybody will know P.O. Pears. That was also on 9th Street. That was where the big hangout. Anyway, I love I love all those places in Lincoln. They've changed, certainly. There's new things. The Haymarket was never a place anybody went. Now it's the place to be. So it's great. It's a hell of a college town.
Sure is. Certainly developed into one. Boone and Firth says Sweep Left is where the scout team had their quote-unquote meetings on Fridays after practice. So, hey, scout teamers got to get it in too, I guess.
Love it.
That's awesome. Let's go ahead and take our first break of the show. We will be on stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Allo Channel 961 moving forward. We got Monday Night Football taking over the radio waves. We'll be back more of the Husker Football Hour. I'm Austin Oerman. He's Tom Shatel after this on The Ticket.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. With the school year here, A1 Automotive reminds you that college students get 10% off any service, and they offer free tire repair with a valid college ID. Schedule your appointment today at a1autolincoln.com and visit their new location in South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive or downtown at 11th and L.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Schweizo Construction is now hiring for skilled craftsmen, steel erectors, concrete workers, and general laborers. Schweizo Construction offers great benefits like premium wages, health and dental insurance, paid holidays and vacation, 401k with company match, life insurance, and disability insurance. They pride themselves on a legacy of 40 years built on integrity and trust. Joining their team means becoming part of a family that values hard work, dedication, and mutual respect. Apply today at schweizo.com. That's SCHWISOW.com.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs have been a trusted and reliable company in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. Fast Mike's handles all sides of construction projects, home renovations, or big cleanouts. With the perfect size dumpster to fit your needs, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs will haul it all. With same-day delivery in Lincoln, affordable rates, and top-notch service, Fast Mike's Roll-Offs make cleanup quick and easy. Call now at 402-450-6828 or visit us online at fastmikesrolloffs.com. Book your dumpster today. Fast Mike's Roll-Offs, cleanup made simple.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Breaking here at the news desk. When you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, you can lock in your price for 2 years. Sources are confirming that when you stack Allo Internet, DirecTV, and mobile, your monthly price drops and you're locked in for 2 years. That's fiber fast internet, premium streaming TV, and reliable nationwide mobile coverage. And this just in, you must switch by Labor Day to secure that locked-in pricing for 2 years. Switch, stack, and save at allofiber.com/stack.
Bring new life to metal treasures with Kaiser Blasting and Coatings. From railings and fences to outdoor furniture and unique antiques, their expert team removes years of rust and weathering, then finishes each piece with a lasting powder coat. Trusted by industries across the region, now local homeowners and businesses can experience the same professional care. Visit KaiserBlasting.com or call 402-421-3559 to request your quote. Restore, protect, and make your metal shine like never before with the help of Kaiser Blasting and Coatings.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back to the Husker Football Hour, kicking off Ticket weeknights here, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Back to our Allo Fiber VIP line we go. Tom Shatel, lead sports columnist of the Omaha World Herald, is the guest here Monday nights 6 to 7. Tom, before we look ahead to Nebraska, Michigan State, thinking back to Nebraska, Michigan now with a week and a little bit more to chew on Nebraska's first loss of the year. What, very simply, does the loss boil down to you? And is whatever that issue is fixable over the course of the bye week or throughout the season for Nebraska?
Well, I don't know that the offensive line can be fixed. I think what I heard today, we didn't hear much today. Rule talked last week and kind of got everything out last week. Wasn't much anything new this week to really talk about, but he might have a couple of changes in the line. What I'm thinking is it might be Elijah Pritchett time at left tackle. Certainly he's had some issues at the false starts, but I think his physicality and his talent might be to the point where you might have to live with a false start or two just to get him on this because you need him out there. Question is, do you need him out there? I guess Michigan State and against Maryland, or is this line good enough to do that? So, I mean, my hunch is they're probably going to keep the same lineup, but with Teddy and Gunner, but they'll maybe have a short leash. If things struggle, then maybe we see Pritchett more, or maybe we see him anyway. But I don't. I mean, I thought the Michigan game. I thought they played pretty well. They hung in there. They came back. They were just a couple plays short, and that defensive line is inexperienced. They just for that game told me they're not ready to beat Michigan yet. But they were pretty close. But they just weren't. They aren't ready for that level yet. And I think Michigan's level, from what I've seen, I think they'll beat USC, and I mean then they'll get Ohio State at home. I mean, they might go undefeated. I don't know, but that quarterback's only going to get it better. So we may look back at that game and go, okay, maybe Nebraska was not so bad. Maybe this is, but the rest of these games will tell us that. So I don't know that. I just think that the running game is a working for. How much do they want to run? Is it a running identity team? And we're worried about the backup running backs today. I mean, I don't know why we're worried about backup running backs if it's not a running team. So I think these next games will, and there's certainly not games that are gimmies. I've heard all summer about how Nebraska has an easy schedule and they should do this, they should win these, they should be the 8 wins or 9 wins. I'm like going, for the next month, we need to take the word should out of the Nebraska vocabulary because this program hasn't earned the right to should anything. They need to prove that they can win these games and stack these kind of wins up against teams, and again, the phrase teams they should beat, right? That's, but Nebraska, other teams are saying that about Nebraska. Well, we should beat Nebraska. So there's a lot to prove in this month with Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, and Northwestern, M, and N, but and then USC, right? So a lot's coming up. There's a lot to prove for this program, and I'm very curious if it'll be. I think it'll be through the air, Austin. I think the quarterback is playing at a very high level, and even in defeat, he played at a high level. Those always get noticed or talked about. But so I think that they're going to ride with the guy who's hot, the guy who's playing really well. So, but it'll be interesting, won't it, to see how much they're going to run.
I will give this program props and kudos for, even when things aren't going well, it is certainly interesting. You can always have your eyes peeled for something in Nebraska footballville. Glad you brought up the left tackle position. That's been a point of consternation for Husker fans. And I think really you can boil a lot of what Nebraska is right now down to Elijah Pritchett, not just, his play on the field or lack of play on the field, but it's interesting just the kind of quandary that Matt Rule and his staff, Donovan Raiola's offensive line coach, are put in, because Nebraska is still not so good on the offensive line that they can afford to leave one of their best players on the bench. But we know Matt Rule's a program builder. It's all about culture. It's all about upholding standards with him. And Nebraska's not so stable as a culture that they can afford to put maybe a guy that sticks out in that way on the field either. Not that Pritchett's a headache or what have you, but it's a little things program. And if Matt Rule's going to harp on that, it's a tough line to try to walk between, we have to uphold our standard because we're still a young program that's building, and hey, we got to win games this year, and we got to have, ostensibly our best athlete and the one we paid the most money to in NIL out on the field.
That's a great point, and I think it's a fine line. It's a kind of a tightrope they're going to walk. I think we'll see everybody. Right? I think we'll see Pritchett, but I have to be careful if he starts getting into this thing where they're down on the goal line like Cincinnati, and 5 yards, you go from the 1 to 6. You got to have standards, and but yeah, you're right. He's in the middle of setting the standards, and he's obviously, you look around the program, and there's a lot of things that have improved. A lot of things have been cleaned up, but it's also time to win, right? You don't want to. You want to be, this remaining schedule. If you don't clean it, if you don't handle things these next few weeks, wouldn't be hard to see 7 and 5. I mean, you have to be careful with that. So, I think it's going to be interesting to watch. I can't call it. My hunch is he's going to play, or they're going to have a short leash on the other guys.
No, I think that's fair, and I think that the way to frame October is we'll obviously turn the page to the 10th month of the year before Nebraska takes on Michigan State, is really what does Nebraska look like building up to November, where Nebraska's had struggles under Matt Rule, Tom. 0-4 in the first year of Matt Rule with 4 cracks at bowl eligibility, and then last year losing the first 2 games to the California teams before knocking off Wisconsin for the first time in far too long to get to bowl eligibility. Nebraska's been fine in September. Nebraska's been good enough in October. But now I think for this program where it's at right now, record matters. The program has to win games, and there are opportunities on the table, right? It's maybe Nebraska could win this game. Nebraska also could lose the game if it doesn't play well enough. But to me, if we look at October as a big picture with, like you said, the 3 M's and the N, to me, October has to be a springboard into a better November than Nebraska's seen in quite some time.
Right. But to get there, you've got to take care of things in October.
Yeah.
And, you've got to set it up, and they haven't always done that. They've always, they might have gone to Maryland and found a way to lose that game. Or, you go to Minnesota, and it's one of those things that they can't figure out how to win. So this is a situation where you just like to see them, handle some of these games and not have it come down to the last series or two. Play well and get up to a lead and then go finish it off. But I just they could get the bowl eligibility thing out of the way this month. I mean, it's all right there, but I'm not going to call these games they should win. We need to find out another name for that. Maybe a toss-up game, or games that could win. Or
they're opportunities.
Yeah. Well, we need to work on that a little bit because I don't want to. Nebraska hasn't earned the right to say should anymore. They haven't. There can be no more entitlement. It can be, this is a program that is trying to prove itself, kind of from the ground up. And this is a big year for the ground up. This is a big year for, and then, man, this league is, there's no should wins in this league. Nobody has a should win. I mean, it's, UCLA and Northwestern are struggling, but man, I'm sure USC had no idea, not that well, we're going to Champaign, Illinois, and we'll handle that deal. And they didn't, because this league is incredible. It's really the middle of it. I think the top is elite, but the middle of it is really good, stout. So every week, I mean, Iowa, Indiana, I'm sure they think, well, we'll go in there and we'll, Iowa probably could have won that game. It just came down to Indiana's been rolling everybody. So I don't know. It's really interesting to see what Nebraska has to. We're watching this in real time, and for years we all inherited. We were all born on Barry Switzer line. Your people were born on third base, and I think they hit a triple. Well, Nebraska fans always thought they hit a triple. Well, I guess we're just that good, but they never saw the thing being built. And now we're watching this in real time. Now we're watching Nebraska learn how to win these games. And last 2 years they couldn't beat Michigan State. They had issues with somebody, and they had better luck last year, but it's just, they had to beat Wisconsin to get into that bowl game. If they hadn't done that, it wouldn't have got in. So the next step is to get in there in October, take care of it early, and then go swing away in November. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, the next step for Nebraska as a program to see if it's on the right track is in these toss-up games, in these opportunities, is Nebraska consistently winning its fair share? Michigan State, has some advantages over Nebraska. Nebraska has some over Michigan State. Games at home, does that swing in Nebraska's favor? Going out to Maryland, team, have they really been tested yet? Has Nebraska really been tested? We'll see. But again, it's a toss-up. It's not a clear, decisive advantage one way or the other. Tom, I'm not going to lie. This Michigan State team, and really series for Nebraska, I think is one that I wish would have taken off a little bit more. Of course, they were both in the Legends division back when Nebraska first joined the Big Ten, and Bo Pelini and Mark D'Antonio had some really good battles in the early going there, some iconic moments. Then, of course, the Mike Riley 2015 debut season, Nebraska all but walks off Michigan State with the Brandon Riley touchdown. Even, a couple of years ago, the best 3-9 team in Nebraska history and maybe college football history could have taken down, Heisman finalist Kenneth Walker, if not for a punt that went the wrong direction. You don't think of Nebraska and Michigan State having that much history, but I mean, you go back to Tom Osborne telling Nick Saban, yeah, you're not as bad as you think. I mean, this is an underrated kind of Big Ten series, I think.
It really is. It's kind of sneaky. The best part is the two programs kind of, the fan bases respect each other, and it's kind of fun. The games have been good. There've been comebacks and big wins on both sides. And the Bob Devaney connection obviously is a good one. But summer of 2016, the two punters, Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler, good friends and good punters, and they both died in that terrible accident, tragedy, middle of the summer at the punters camp. And those two schools kind of lean on each other the whole year, and so there is a lot of connection there. And you don't get to play anybody enough to really have what you call like a rivalry game. I mean, there's a few of those, but it's USC is going to have to decide whether or not they want to keep playing Notre Dame because of this league. So it's I hate it, but this is one of those games I wish was played more often. I really like it. Nebraska's had a rivalry type series against UCLA, and certainly against Penn State. There have been a lot of games against Penn State that have been memorable and historic. So, but yeah, I like this series. It's kind of sneaky. I think it kind of means a lot in its own way. Has a lot of history. So we'll see what this week. Michigan State's got a quarterback who can run and hurt you. I saw that one of maybe their left tackle was out. Yep. So we'll see what happens. But I think right now Nebraskans have to focus on Nebraska and not worry about who the opponent is.
And that's the beauty of a bye week, is that Nebraska gets an early chance to sit back and to reassess where they are. There was a question asked of Matt Rule today, Tom. Did Nebraska spend the bye week focusing on what it does well and trying to get better at that, or focusing on what maybe didn't go the Huskers' way, cough, cough, run defense, cough, cough, and try to improve that? And Matt Rule said it was a little bit of everything. I'm curious to hear from Dana Holgorsen and John Butler tomorrow about what they had their respective units working on. But I think the early bye week, in the season here, 4 weeks in, I think it does come at a good time right after the quote unquote preseason, like Matt Rule would call it. You get a test like you did against Michigan. How do you expect to see Nebraska come out of the gates against Michigan State on Saturday? Do you think they'll be hungover and Michigan loss will stick with them? Do you think they'll be amped up, ready to go for another chance to get after it? What's your read on the team after hearing from Matt Rule today?
Yeah, after bye week, there's no reason to have any kind of hangover, and I think the hangover has to go away immediately. In this league, it's Nebraska has to be Bud Crawford. You got to take a punch and keep swinging. Rule even something like that today. You can't cover up. You got to keep swinging, and you're going to lose in this league. You're going to get hit. You're going to get hit in the mouth. You're going to, sometimes you're going to get beat. You got to get right back up off the floor, and you got to keep coming. And I love the fact that he's trying to instill that mentality in them, because that's what they're going to see every year. And it doesn't matter who you're playing. These teams are all coming at you. And, UCLA is going to have another coach next year. That'll probably be better. Just going down the list, everybody's hard to beat. So, yeah, I think there can't be a hangover. That would be that would actually be very surprising if there was. I don't think that'd be flat. There's no reason to be flat. So, and I think maybe a little shakeup is in order. Maybe that's why, if they think they'll be flat, maybe that's why they might do that. So, but I don't think Dylan Raiola is going to allow them to be flat. I think he's emerging as this leader type guy, as a sophomore, who is going to set the tone, and I think he will not let them show up flat.
We've heard, for years, we've seen it bear out in person. The Big Ten is, it's won in the trenches. Obviously, that was true for Nebraska against Michigan. You hear about the importance of running the ball all the time, and we talked about that already on the show. But Tom, through 4 games here in his sophomore season, Dylan Raiola has, for the most part, looked like a guy that could maybe help Nebraska buck that trend, that if the passing offense stays a step and a half or two ahead of the rushing offense for Nebraska, even when it gets cold against Iowa on Black Friday, Dylan Raiola right now is playing like a guy that's not going to have Nebraska scared to whip it around even in the elements.
No, and again, that they might have to do that, because I know we're all in love with year 3. Well, maybe with Matt Rule at Nebraska, at Baylor, you're not building an offensive line to play Michigan and all these, Iowa and all these people that are big and physical. You're playing in the Big 12, doesn't play a lot of defense, and it's not very physical. So maybe year 3 for Matt Rule in Nebraska is actually year 4. I mean, I don't know. But I'm saying if they're throwing it right now, maybe because they don't have the offensive line yet, or the run defense is not ready yet. The defensive line, and they just got caught in a thing where they. Look, it takes a while to build an offensive line in the Big Ten, at least one that is going to work. I think they've done a good job. We don't need to the offensive line is not like it's over. They can't do anything. No, they had a bad game. I think the Cincinnati game, as I said, they had a pretty good game against Cincinnati, and they really Dillon had a clean pocket for the most part against Cincinnati's defense. So, which probably isn't great, but look at that defense now. The Cincinnati quarterback's on fire, and he's having a hell of a year, and they contain him for the most part. So let's look at this team in a few weeks. Let's see how they do in these games against good teams, good players, good coaches, but not Michigan. So let's see how we may have a different outlook on some things in a couple of weeks. Hopefully it'll be positive.
Indeed. Nebraska-Michigan State afternoon kick for the Big Red coming up. Tom, anything we didn't hit on that you're going to be watching out for or listening for the rest of the week leading into Saturday for Nebraska's game? Not really.
I think we're ready for another game. It was good to have the weekend off. But now we're going to get into the cycle, the Saturday cycle again. Well, it's a Friday night in Minnesota, so we're going to get into the game every week now for a long time. So a couple of road games, but it's going to go fast, and the next sort of break is that's not a bye week, but the Northwestern to USC. These next 4 games are kind of like a segment of the schedule where, okay, how much can they get done? And then all of a sudden, November, USC, UCLA, Penn State, Iowa. So it's going to happen fast. But no, I think we're all ready for another game, and all eyes will be on the offensive, defensive lines as always to see if there's improvement. And it should be a nice day, 80 degrees for a while now. It's going to be crazy, but we love it. So it'll be football weather.
That it will. Read about it all on omaha.com. Hear about it all Monday night, 6 to 7 p.m., 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Tom, we'll see you around with some pressers the rest of the week. Have a good rest of your night.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Tom Shatel, lead sports columnist for the Omaha World Herald, our guest on our Allo Fiber VIP line. Allo's where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. That'll do it for me here on Ticket Weeknights. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 3 for Old School. Have Brian Munson on at 3:30 tomorrow. B. Muntz had some work stuff pop up, but plenty of Cruton to chat with him tomorrow at 3:30. I'm getting out of the way. We got All In. Ridge Levitt, Caleb Smith from Nebraska Wrestling. They come your way next. 93.7 Ticket, ticketfm.com.
Harvest season is coming, and Acres has discounted many of our late model John Deere combines. Get thousands in discounts and upgrade for this year's harvest. Plus, you could save even more with interest rates starting as low as 1.9% on select units. Low interest rates combined with our huge discounts, there's not a better time to buy. Visit acres.com for all the details. That's AKRS.com. Restrictions apply. Offer ends August 31st, 2025. Subject to approved financing. Offer may change at any time without notice.
Hey fans, there's more winning at Amigos with the VIP Game Day giveaway. Every app scan is your chance to win premium tickets to a Nebraska football, basketball, and volleyball game, along with exclusive game day perks. And when Nebraska goes to a bowl, the winner also gets 2 tickets, lodging, and airfare to the bowl game. Weekly semifinalists will win free food for a year. Go Big Red, eat at Amigos, and enter to win.
Amigos is celebrating 45 years with exclusive Nebraska Legends collectible cups featuring Tom Osborne, John Cook, and some of your favorite Huskers. For every cup sold, 50 cents goes to teammates. Show your Big Red pride by getting all 4 of these collectible cups at Amigos.
This is Tom Osborne with the Teammates Mentoring Program. We have students on the waiting list for a mentor, and we want you to join the team. Learn more about mentoring and support teammates by visiting Amigos.
An overdose can happen in front of you and you might not realize it. Blue lips, slowed breathing, pinpoint pupils, choking sounds, unresponsive to touch or sounds. These signs aren't always obvious, but they can be deadly. Knowing what to do could save your friend, your neighbor, your child. Learn more by visiting myhealthymind.crediblemmind.com so you can be ready before it happens. This message is funded in part by the CDC OD2